the beginning of the story, we meet a boy named Eddie who wants to become a writer. After a long time, he gets a job writing a book for a publisher. He has a lot of work to do, but so far he hasn't been able to write even a single word of that book. He writes a little something every day and erases it. In fact, he has become very confused and worried about his future and his life. Due to this failure, one day his girlfriend Lindy breaks up with him and leaves. Although he was previously married to a woman named Melissa, she also left him because of his laziness and failure. Now he is tired of life. Defeated, Eddie is wandering in the city on his way to his apartment when he meets his ex-wife's brother, Vernon. They sit in a cafe and start talking, and Eddie tells Vernon the whole story of his life. This helps Vernon understand that Eddie is very confused and troubled in his life, so he gives him a pill to help. After seeing this, Eddie starts laughing and asks how this little pill can help him. Vernon explains that this is not an ordinary pill. As soon as Eddie takes it, all of his confusion will go away, and he can do any of his work in a wonderful way. Vernon also gives Eddie his card so they can stay in touch. Now, wanting to somehow change his bad life, Eddie takes the pill without delay. Before going to his apartment, he meets his landlady on the stairs. She tells him angrily that he hasn't paid rent yet, but Eddie can't understand anything because he's under the influence of the pill. Suddenly, the pill starts taking effect, and Eddie begins to understand everything clearly. His memory becomes so good that he remembers all the books he has read in his life. He notices a law book in the landlady's bed and tells her that if he were taking the exam, he wouldn't read that book at all. He suggests there are better books in the market which she should read, and he gives her a lot of information about law. His landlady becomes very impressed with his smartness and lets him go. After entering his room, Eddie first starts cleaning his dirty things, wondering how he had been living like this. He quickly starts fixing everything, and we are shown Eddie in many forms, all cleaning the room together, which means that Eddie has now become as smart as 10 people combined. Then he sits down and starts writing his book, continuing without getting stuck or confused. When Eddie wakes up the next morning, he is back to the way he was before. The effect of the medicine has worn off. However, he had finished writing the entire book the night before. Without delay, he gives the print sample of the book to the editor, who can't believe how Eddie completed it so quickly. When he returns home, he receives a voice message from the editor, who is impressed by Eddie's writing and wants to give him more work. This makes Eddie very happy, so he goes back to meet Vernon and starts praising the pill. Vernon tells him that this pill is a kind of drug called NZT, which allows one to use their brain at full capacity. Eddie asks for more pills, but Vernon asks him to bring his suit and a burger from the market first. When Eddie returns with the burger and suit, he finds that someone has shot and killed Vernon. Scared, he quickly calls the police. He realizes that someone must have killed Vernon for the pills. Before the police arrive, Eddie searches the entire room and finally finds a complete packet of those pills, along with a bundle of cash and a small diary, which he keeps. When the police come, he opens the door. The police take Eddie to the station and interrogate him, but they don't get much information about the murder from him, so they let him go. After this, he comes back and takes the pill once again. This time, he does many things to change himself. First of all, he writes another book in just 4 days and gives it to the editor. Then he acquires many new skills, such as learning new languages, playing cards, focusing on fitness, and making new friends. He talks about various topics with these friends, and it's here that Eddie meets a stockbroker named Kevin, who gives him his card. During this time, he had also made many new friends who invite him to a beach party. He goes with his friends and enjoys himself a lot. Then he gets an idea and thinks that his main work is not writing. In fact, he realizes even more money can be earned from the stock market. After this, he starts understanding the stock market, and after doing research for a week, he completely understands its patterns. He invests the $800 he got from Vernon in the stock market. By investing in the market, he earns $2,000 in just 1 day, and in this way, he earns a lot of money in a few days. But he feels that now that he has such good knowledge of the stock market, he should try with a bigger amount. However, he needs more money to invest in the stock market. So for money, he meets a wealthy man named Jerry who gives money on personal loans. Jerry gives $100,000 to Eddie, but also threatens him that if he doesn't return his money on time, he will skin him and tie it on his head. After this, Eddie invests all the money in the stock market, and within just a week, with his sharp mind, he earns $2 million. With the sudden influx of so much money, he becomes very famous in the stock market, and discussions about him start happening everywhere. Reporters and many stockbrokers start following him, and he appears in newspapers. Then one day when Eddie meets his ex-girlfriend Lindy, she gets impressed after seeing Eddie's changed look. After this, they make a new beginning and spend many beautiful times together. Now, one day when Lindy is with him, Eddie notices a man who was following them, so he ignores him and walks away with Lindy. The next day, we see the same stockbroker, Kevin, introduce Eddie to a very famous businessman named Carl. After talking with him for some time, Carlo gets very impressed by Eddie's stock market and business-related ideas and offers to drive him home. During this time, he gives some files to Eddie. After seeing those files, Eddie tells him about many problems in his company and also gives some solutions to solve the company's issues. After hearing this, Carl is very impressed with Eddie's intelligence and calls him to meet again at a place the next day. After this, Eddie gets out of the car and starts walking for a while, but during this time, he starts feeling something strange. It's actually a side effect of that NZT pill. Due to this side effect, he doesn't pay attention to what's happening, and he starts experiencing time jumps to many places, like first in a club, then at a party, and after that, he imagines himself as a girl. He sees himself romancing someone, and then suddenly he finds himself at a station where some goons attack him. Eddie didn't know how to fight, but then he starts remembering Jackie Chan's fighting scenes, which he had seen many times on TV. By copying the same style, he defeats all the goons. After this, he finally finds himself on Highway Bridge, and now 18 hours have passed since all this happened, but he doesn't understand what and how all this was happening to him. After this, we see that Eddie wakes up from sleep and again starts checking the files given by Carl. But this time, he doesn't take the pill because he doesn't want to experience what happened to him in the last 18 hours. However, without the pill, he can't understand anything, and today he had to go meet Carl. He goes to meet Carl without taking the pill, and now, because he hadn't taken it, his mind remains exactly like that of a normal Eddie. Because of this, he wasn't able to understand what Carl was saying. Then he sees in the news that a girl was found dead in a hotel room, the same girl Eddie was with a day ago. Eddie remembers something vaguely, thinking that maybe he was with that girl and feeling that perhaps he was the one who had killed her. He says sorry to Carl and goes outside to vomit. After this, he comes home, and due to not taking the medicine for a long time, his health starts deteriorating. But now he wants to know everything about the pill before taking it again, so he starts calling the numbers in Vernon's diary one by one. Vernon used to supply these pills to these people, but Eddie learns that most of the people who were using this medicine have died. After this, when he calls the last remaining person, the call is received by the same man who was chasing Eddie earlier. Seeing him, Eddie somehow escapes and runs away. He reaches a cafe where he meets his ex-wife, Melissa. Melissa tells him that she also used to take NZ pills, but due to its side effects, she stopped taking them. Her face has deteriorated and she has started looking like an old woman. She asks Eddie to quit NZT because the addiction is very bad. She tells him that this drug is slowly killing them from the inside and quitting is not easy, but she advises Eddie to gradually reduce his dose and quit. After this, on the way, Eddie meets Jerry, the Russian man who had given him a loan of $100,000. Jerry demands his money back because Eddie had not yet returned it. At that moment, Jerry sees a pill in Eddie's hand and asks what it is, forcing him to eat it. Eddie starts feeling uneasy, then takes out money from the bank and gives it to Jerry, who then leaves. Now, Eddie's condition has become very bad, and he wants NZT pills at any cost, so he goes to his girlfriend Lindy's office. When he reaches there and collapses, Lindy sees him in such a condition and asks what happened. Eddie tells her everything about the drug and asks her to bring those pills from home. Lindy goes home to get the pills, but on the way, she is followed by the same man who had been following Eddie for a few days. Lindy runs away and hides behind a big rock. She calls Eddie and tells him everything. Eddie asks Lindy to take a pill, so she obeys and takes one. After this, Lindy's mind starts working very fast and she easily manages to escape from there after outsmarting the man. She comes to Eddie and cures him by giving him a pill. The next day, Lindy asks Eddie to give up this drug habit. She says that she has taken it only once but will never take it again, and suggests Eddie should also stop. Eddie says he can't stop now because he has some unfinished work and asks Lindy for some time so that he can quit the habit slowly. They agree on this matter. Eddie takes the pill again and tries to understand these drugs with his sharp mind. He realizes that if he reduces the dosage, doesn't drink alcohol with it, and eats food on time while consuming this medicine, the side effects will not be as severe. He starts taking it in this manner. Because Eddie's mind was working very fast due to taking NZT, he makes some important decisions for the future. He first creates a coat for himself which has a secret pocket where he keeps all his pills. Then he meets a chemist and gives him an NZT pill, asking him to make a copy of that pill without side effects. He gives the chemist a lot of money to make the pill and deliver it within 6 months. Eddie now starts working with the businessman Carl and takes his business to the top. He starts making a lot of profit by investing the money of Carl and many other big businessmen in the stock market. While doing so, he himself becomes a stockbroker and very soon becomes a millionaire. One day, a police officer catches him because he obtained footage in which Eddie was with the girl who died in the hotel. Eddie calls his lawyer, Knowing the whole story somehow gets Eddie released, but when Eddie later checks his coat's pockets to get the pills, he doesn't find them and realizes that his lawyer had taken them to the court police station, which means that the lawyer had stolen the pills. On the other hand, Jerry was still after Eddie because he wanted more pills. Eddie somehow gets rid of him by giving him some pills. Meanwhile, Eddie's company was being transferred to another big company whose owner was Hank. Hank was planning a merger with Eddie's company to make the price of his company's stocks go up very high. For this deal, Eddie was going to get $40 million. On the day of their merger meeting, instead of Hank, his wife comes there and tells Carl that Hank is in the hospital, and only after he recovers will the merger be possible. As the lady leaves, Eddie sees her driver, who was the same man who had been following Eddie all this time. Seeing this, Eddie understands everything. This is Hank's man, and Hank also used to take NZ pills. His man was following Eddie because Hank's pills had run out, and due to not getting the pills, Hank's condition had worsened and become serious. When Eddie comes back home, Jerry arrives and asks Eddie to open the door. When Eddie doesn't open it, Jerry starts cutting through the door. Eddie, now without pills and wanting to face Jerry, decides to kill himself and is about to jump from the building when he remembers that he might still have one pill left. Immediately starts searching and finally finds the pill, but suddenly Jerry breaks the door and comes inside with two men. In panic, Eddie falls, causing the pill to fall from his hand and roll away. Jerry's men catch hold of Eddie, and Jerry starts asking for more pills. We see that Jerry doesn't take the pills like Eddie does. He ejects them directly into his veins so that the effect lasts longer. When Eddie doesn't give him the pills, Jerry's men start looking for them all over the room. Taking the opportunity, Eddie attacks Jerry and kills him by stabbing him with a piece of glass. Eddie, whose condition was also worsening, wanted that pill. Seeing Jerry's flowing blood, he remembers that Jerry used to eject the pill, so the drug would be present in his blood. Eddie starts drinking Jerry's blood, and it actually has the desired effect. After this, Eddie starts killing the goons one by one and then escapes. Meanwhile, Hank dies in the hospital. Eddie goes to Hank's driver, tells him the whole story, and asks for help. The driver helps him. They go to the lawyer's house, tie him up, and after searching for a long time, Eddie finds those pills again. 1 year later, we see that Eddie's book has been published. He has also started his own company and has now become a billionaire. He is also running for the presidential election. Carl comes to his office having learned that Eddie takes NZ pills and that's why he was so intelligent. Carl asks Eddie to work for him, telling him that he has bought the company manufacturing NZ pills and has shut down the manufacturing unit. He says if Eddie wants to keep getting these pills, he'll have to work with Carl. As Carl is about to leave, Eddie gives him an example, saying that when a car on the road hits the car in front, the same thing happens within a few seconds. Eddie tells Carl that he always thinks 50 steps ahead of him and doesn't care whether NZT will be available in the market now or not because he has already made a copy of that pill without any side effects. He then starts listing Carl's business wrongdoings and his black money, after which Carl, scared, runs away. At the end of the story, we see Eddie and his girlfriend Lindy at a Chinese restaurant. Eddie speaks to the waiter in Chinese and places his order. Seeing this, Lindy starts wondering whether Eddie has stopped taking NZT or not, and with this scene, the movie ends here. Thanks for watching this recap. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to comment below and tell me what movie or series you want me to recap next.